Ted Cruz won on the Republican side, and Bernie Sanders tied with Hillary Clinton on the Democratic side in the Iowa caucuses last night. The junior U.S. Senator from Texas beat billionaire Donald Trump by more than 6,000 votes in a record turnout for Republicans. Senator Marco Rubio of Florida finished a very close third, much better than polls predicted. Cruz and Rubio sounded defiant, while Trump sounded subdued.
Tonight is a victory for every American who's watched in dismay as career politicians in Washington in both parties refuse to listen and too often fail to keep their commitments to the people.
The people of this great state have sent a very clear message. After 7 years of Barack Obama, we are not waiting any longer to take our country back.
We finished second, and I want to tell you something. I'm just honored. I'm really honored. And I want to congratulate Ted, and I want to congratulate all of the incredible candidates.
On the Democratic side, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's only a few tenths of a percentage point ahead of Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, basically a virtual tie between the two. The results were so close that at least 3 precincts were decided by a coin toss, which Clinton won each time. Both candidates claim it was a win.
I am excited about really getting into the debate with Senator Sanders about the best way forward.
As I think about what happened tonight, I think the people of Iowa have sent a very profound message to the political establishment.
Well, Dr. Matthew Wilson, political scientist at SMU, joining us. So it's on to New Hampshire now. How is New Hampshire politically different from Iowa?
On the Republican side, New Hampshire definitely has more of a libertarian streak, more of an independent streak, fewer evangelical Christian voters in New Hampshire. So that means that the candidates have to recalibrate their strategies. Probably not as much talk as we saw in Iowa about faith issues, and a little more talk about freedom and liberty issues.
And people in New Hampshire on both parties are very much used to the candidates coming to them. It's not the big rally with 3,000 people and you can't get anywhere near the candidate. That could hurt Trump, could certainly hurt Hillary Clinton, who is, they all love the big events,
right?
But it's coffee clatches in a neighborhood that won over voters there.
And on the Democratic side, Bernie Sanders has a bit of a home field advantage. So he's from neighboring Vermont, right. So he has some connections with voters to begin with.
Do you think that it hurt Donald Trump that he skipped that last debate in Iowa?
I think it hurt him a little. I don't think at the end of the day that was the decisive factor. I think some of the issues that hurt Trump a bit would have been there whether he was in the debate or not.
Uncharacteristically humble for Donald Trump last night, who was going into Iowa. He's going to win it. He's going to win New Hampshire. He's going to sweep the nation. And last night he was complimentary of all the other fine candidates, the same people he was calling bumbling idiots a week ago.
Yeah, it was a kinder, gentler Donald Trump. And part of that is that he realizes he's got to be able to expand beyond his core base of supporters. He's got very high negatives. He's beloved by his core constituency, but a lot of the rest of the party doesn't like Donald Trump. He's got to be a little softer, gentler, reach out to those people.
So New Hampshire is not evangelical friendly. Does that hurt Ted Cruz next time in New Hampshire?
It will be harder for him to win in New Hampshire than it was in Iowa. Evangelicals are his most natural constituency, but it's not his only constituency. He's a little bit of a, some people have said, a Rand Paul light on some of the privacy issues, some of the libertarian issues. He can pivot to that and emphasize those concerns in New Hampshire.
Let's talk about Marco Rubio, who a lot of Republicans see as, he did surprisingly well. One of 3 candidates who was claiming victory last night on the Republican side, and probably, in his case, justifiably so. Not an outright win, but much better than expected.
Right. It was a big night for Marco Rubio because the narrative that Cruz and Trump have both been offering for a while is this is a two-man race. This is a two-man race. And Rubio showed last night that that's just not true. It clearly, there are 3 in the top tier, and then there's a big drop-off to everybody else. Moreover, Rubio's got more room to grow in terms of his support than either Cruz or Trump.
Doesn't have the high negatives that Trump and Cruz both have. A lot of people kind of look at him and go, oh, yeah, I guess I'd be okay with him.
Right. A lot of the people whose first choice might be Bush or Kasich or Christie or Fiorina for a lot of those people, their next choice is Marco Rubio, and what he's hoping is to start seeing some of that support gravitate his way.
Real quickly on the Democratic side, a shocking disappointment for Hillary Clinton, who should have won bigger, especially going into New Hampshire, where she's probably going to get her backside kicked by Bernie Sanders, who's from right next door in Vermont.
Right. It's highly likely that she will lose New Hampshire because of the home field advantage for Sanders, among other things. Her firewall is South Carolina because she does very, very well relative to Sanders among minority voters. Until and unless Sanders can make some inroads in the Black and Latino communities, he's not going to get the Democratic nomination. So that's the big thing to see. Can he do that to make it a viable race?
Absolutely. Dr. Matthew Wilson, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And you can tell it to Tim, 214-468-7447, or go to the Good Day page at fox4news.com to send us an email. Friday is the day for Tell It to Tim.